Open the December 30th meeting with pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We can do recognition of guests.
Brett Clark.
Mr. Clark, I've seen your email.
Yes.
I talked to Charlie about the situation,
Yes.
and he said he's going to be working on that. But if you'd like to make comments, that'd be fine.
Yes, I have, I've made call after call to both Charlie and Jeff. They both promised to stay in touch with me and let me know any updates, and I've tried to talk to the trustees about it too. The trustees just plain blowed me off. They won't give me any response at all. But I've not heard back from either one of the other two in all my attempts to get a hold of them.
But once I saw your email, I called Charlie, and Charlie and I probably had a 15-20 minute discussion
Good.
about what's going on.
Good.
I saw your film where the water was
Yeah,
eroding away.
there's 4 locations like that on my property. I didn't film all 4 of them and send to you, but
I've got on our farm at 207, I've got one very similar to that, but it wasn't created by anything other than nature.
right.
So we've tried to repair that because it comes through a field where we used to have livestock.
Right, and I'm, like I put in the email, I'm not pursuing any damages or loss of use or anything like that. Just some kind of remedial action to keep it from getting worse, because I need to be able to get through there with my tractor. That's where I harvest my firewood, is along that strip of property. And it's completely unusable to me now.
I understand that. I wouldn't suggest putting down planks and driving over those either.
No, there's some big riprap in it, the smaller riprap on top, so I can get across with my tractor and the water can run through it. It's fine with me.
But I do want you to know, I did talk to Charlie on Friday,
Thank you, sir.
and he's on it. So,
I appreciate that.
and Charlie said he's on it. He's on it.
That's great.
He has been very busy. I'm
sure.
not making excuses for him. He's got Charleston Pike. There's a multitude of things that he's working on right now, but he was working on what Mr. Gray came in and was speaking about, and he's going to be working on that situation.
Sure, I'm sure his plate's full.
Anything else, Mr. Clark?
No, that's all.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate you coming in.
All right, thanks. You fellows have a good day.
You too.
See you later.
Bills?
Happy New Year to you.
Yes, you too. Bills for the week totaling $17,976.39.
Gotta be quick, man. You gotta be quick when it's that one.
Got a second? Second. All in favor? All right. Then a now analysis, $17,764.05.
So moved.
All in favor? Shelby, I'll be unfortunate to say that you're a guest also, so you have anything you'd like to tell us about what's going on in the county?
I'm here. I'm here for you guys to tell me that.
Well, you're the one that's putting out the newspaper. You've done
It's a slow news week.
it. Well, at least I recognize you, Shelby.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
This comes from the 2025 budget request addendum to number 3. I've submitted a request for an addendum to the budget to make one adjustment. I've completed it earlier, however, I thought that the item was specifically under the BOC budget, where I would have replaced it in the budget much earlier. The Ross County Comprehensive Plan funds carryover for 2025 budget, $544,750. This comes from Devin Shoemaker.
We have to approve this.
I think we do, yes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Resolution number 02454, this is for the interim. We do that today, Kathy?
Yeah.
Whereas Ross County Board of Commissioners received and accepted the resignation of Ty Hinton, Clerk of Courts, effective date December the 31st. Whereas the board wishes to appoint Jordan Wheeler as interim Clerk of Courts, effective date January the 1st, 2025. Now therefore be it resolved that the Ross County Board of Commissioners hereby appoint Jordan Wheeler to serve as interim Ross County until the Clerk of Court's elected term begins on January the 6th, 2025. Be it further resolved that the Ross County Board of Commissioners authorizes the President of the Board to endorse any and all documents necessary to formalize the appointment of Jordan Wheeler, Ross County Clerk of Court, until the elected term begins January the 6th, 2025. Motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. This is an asset disposal form from the recorder's office. VLK gas lit monitor riser. Condition very good, not needed. Gate to the engineer's map room.
So moved.
Is that, disposal, is that going on?
You just switch it from one department to
One
another.
department.
Oh, okay. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, some people's not watching. Everybody's watching because they're calling us on the phone.
This is in the matter of the common pleas court appointment of CASA, guardian ad litem. I, Sarah Rolfe, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of Ohio, and faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all duties incumbent on me as guardian ad litem in the juvenile division of the Court of Common Pleas, Ross County, Ohio, according to the best of my ability and understanding.
Second.
All in favor? These are all requests from Judge Benson. I also have one from Holly Reynolds. Same oath.
Same one. So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Kelsey Kirch, same oath.
So,
Second.
All in favor? And Robin Farley,
so,
Second.
all in favor?
aye.
Appropriation of funds from the Ross County Auditor, Fund for Bridge and Road Improvements. Increase appropriations to payment for the OPWC on the county behalf of the gas G and J paving. $430,575.
So,
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Request for appropriation of funds from the Ross County Auditor for Children's Services. The appropriation accounts at year end comply with the Ohio Revised Code, taking away $5,492.56.
They're what now?
The appropriating. So they have enough funds in there, so we don't need these.
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Still trying to figure out where we're gonna come up with that other part that we need to pay them. I think not.
Request for appropriation of funds from the Ross County Auditor to the Senior Citizens Levy, the appropriate account at year end to comply with the Ohio Revised Code. $5,686.75.
So,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is for an appropriation of funds from the Ross County Auditor to the Small Cities Formula. Chip Home. The appropriate accounts at year end to comply with the Ohio Revised Code. $240,000.
so,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Request for appropriation of funds from the Ross County Auditor for the ACGP Development Grant, the appropriate accounts at year of end to comply with the Ohio Revised Code, $300,000.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Request for appropriation of funds from the Ross County Auditors from Fund 401 Care and Custody. Need to reduce and cancel PO on account 7842 by at least $38,000. The appropriate an account at year end to comply with the Ohio Revised Code, $250,000.
second.
All in favor? Appropriation of funds, Ross County Auditor to Recovery Ohio Grant. Need to reduce a canceled PO in account 7550 by $24,000. The appropriation of accounts at year end to comply with the Ohio Revised Code, $59,000.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Request for appropriation of funds from the auditor for residential services, contract services, residential to de-appropriate accounts at the end of the year to comply with the Ohio Revised Code, $50,000.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Request for appropriation of funds from the auditor to VOCA and SBAA. This is for the courts, the appropriation accounts at the end of the year to comply with the Ohio Revised Code. Salaries, PERS, workers' comp, group insurance, and Medicare for a total of $145,000.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The last one for appropriation of funds from the Ross County Auditor for the VA facilities renovations. The appropriation accounts at the year of end to comply with the Ohio Revised Code, $500,000.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? This is from Ross County Planning and Development Department, need of Commissioner's action. This is from Devin Shoemaker, authorizing the county engineer and board of commissioners contract with Widow Consulting for professional engineering services that will run through December the 31st, 2025, with maximum compensation for all services rendered through the term not to exceed $10,000. Approve the signed engagement letter for Bricker and Graydon for professional services related to this project, tax increment financing, and other economic development incentives as applied. Estimate between $15,000 to $25,000.
So,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Brad, you have anything? There you go. Just that.
So, second.
All in favor?
You paid double.
I wish.
Sir. Gentlemen, I hope you've received that email from me. If you look at the request for the funding for the 2025, Ross County Reentry Coalition has asked for $50,000. Jerry is going to bring up with him how much money is in the opioid distribution that we're receiving in relationship to the money that can go to the Reentry Coalition. Ross County Humane Society, we pay them annually and have paid them annually for the past 10 years, $120,000 annually. Humane Society for the new shelter, we came to an agreement, $60,000 over 5 years. Child Protection Center, we're also going to see if there's enough money and the opioid money to go toward that. The request is $15,000. Economic Development has been requested in the past $100,000. That's for an increase of $125,000 to go to $25,000 additional dollars.
You locked yourself out?
Well, since we're close, quickly it goes to sleep. Hope Partnership, we're looking for that to come out of One Ohio. That would be $50,000, I believe the request was. Parks and Recreation, gentlemen, do you remember what the request was for this year?
I think it was 30,000.
300,000.
300,000.
OSU Extension, 300,000. Soil and Water, what Soil and Water, I think they've asked for a substantial increase.
I knew it was like 375.
Well, it's not gonna be 375. I don't think. You remember what it was, Ken? That was the day of the, week or two after. The resolution. I guess my question is, Jack, when you work with Jeff on this, and it did get budgeted in the budget. You're all right.
I can get what they.
Well, I'm sure that Jerry can answer our questions when it comes up at 9:30. See, it's coming quickly to an end. Brad, I would like to ask you, and I know you send out frequent emails, any update on the sewer project?
You know, it's kind of been slow since everybody's been gone, but not really. I mean, we're up to date with, you know, you guys signed the Bruce and Michael addendum to the contract last week, so we're not going to do that. We're not going to install those until March, so we're in the wet season. Design continues to
They
happen.
requested 310.
We've talked with.
Seems like we're in the wet season right now.
Well, it'll be worse in March, April, probably. We've talked with Weingartner and the gentleman that owns the
Trail park.
about easements. I mean, it's moving along. It's going well. Signed the contract last week for the the courthouse renovation, so that's moving. The contractor for the jail is providing us with, subs for that work. It looks like some of them are gonna be local, which is good, because the same local guys that did the infirmary when we did the last project are planning on, I believe they're going to be the ones that are going to get the steel work inside the jail, so that they already know how to do it. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Is there any electrical needed?
Any electrical?
Yeah.
No. We did work with Scott last week, though.
Good.
Setting the
Kiosk out front?
the kiosk out front there. Yeah, it's finally wired correctly and working right. So how we ended up with that, I don't know, but we did.
You know, I've got a compassion for some of the contractors who worked here before the debacle happened.
Yeah.
And they lost a lot of money. They did a lot of work and lost money.
Well, we've had SOS do a lot of work since then.
Good.
Not a lot of work, but every time we have an electrical issue, we've had them work on it. So when we moved the sheriff's jail staff upstairs and there needed to be a lot of wiring done, that was all done by SOS. So there's no hard, I don't believe there's any hard feelings there. Scott and I talk all the time.
If there was, he probably wouldn't come back to it for work.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a good, it's a good organization to work with.
Yeah, that was out of our control. He knows that.
Well, I think they all knew that, but they still wanted.
Well, yeah,
I'm just glad that's over with.
me too.
No, we don't have any more headaches.
Just about got the,
Painful.
yeah, exactly. Just about have the RFP for the cleaning services at the service center done. I shared that with Ben. He looked at it over the weekend and sent me something to look at today. So I'll have that out. And the next thing's the airport.
I would say that at some point here, probably January, February, you'll have to make a decision on the LCMPs, whether it's going to be renovated or.
Need to get somebody here to look at it. That's the next step.
That would be for me on that I think there's a lot of different directions that are possible to go, but first step from my perspective would be, let's figure out what we've got and what our what our opportunities and challenges might be before we.
Yeah, we need an engineer architect firm to look at it and say, here's what you got. Here's an estimate on cost to
Bring it back up.
For option A, B, C,
or demolish it and do something different.
or
David, the property, as you probably already know, was basically given to us
right.
because we bought it. And they paid the lease for the amount of time until they built a facility down on Main Street. And more than paid for what we paid for.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, and the prosecuting attorney is still located on the second floor. And they've done a lot of work up there. It looks good. But the dream was, at one point when it was purchased, and if I'm not wrong, LCD just got in October or August, between August
It
and
seems like that, yeah.
Those October.
October,
Yeah.
was to move all the county offices into that facility, reconfigure the downstairs, and open that up at the drive-through for the treasurer's office, the auditor next to the treasurer, and then reconfigure where everybody else would be located in that facility. So
I love that idea, that concept. I just think understanding what it's going to take to reach that concept.
about, well, I'm not gonna say that, I get in trouble.
My point is there's plenty of time for further conversation.
You know, Dave's company has serviced that building for a long time. He can tell you what the HVAC system is like in there.
Yeah, you replaced 20 years ago.
Exactly.
It's like everything else though, David, you limp along, it's a Band-Aid, you keep putting another Band-Aid on saying, well, I can get through another year. And never biting the bullet and saying, hey.
Well, and that same mentality went through the whole building.
Yeah.
You know, nothing really ever got upgraded to where it should have been 20 years ago. So you you've got the HVAC system, you got the water system, the sewer systems, you know, the electrical system in there. There's not a grounded breaker in the place, you know, I mean, it doesn't meet any handicapped accessible codes. You know, when you start working on it, then you gotta start bringing it up to code, and I'm not sure that you've got the ability to do that in there.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the things that a good architect and engineer will tell you, is, you know, here's what you got.
My first concern, and Brad was there when we did this, was that in the basement, when you look at the ceiling, it looks like this has to be asbestos.
I don't think so.
It's not.
No, we had it tested.
We had it tested, but it, boy, it sure
It
looks
was
like.
about that time frame too. Yeah.
Yeah, the building was built in '59.
That was prevalent, putting a rattle of asbestos around your heating cooling ducts. So,
It's a cool building to have. I mean, we don't think of it from a historic perspective, but it's the only building of that type from that era that's around.
It's the only parking garage in town.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
and it's like a demolition derby when you go down there.
Yeah.
If you're not careful. I don't understand in the 50s when they had the bigger cars,
Why to make it a little bigger?
but you could see a lot of those poles have been nicked and hit before. It's kind of like when you go through to pay your bill coming out of the parking garage and stuff in Columbus. They give you about that much room. You need to pull your mirrors in before you go through it.
Yeah, there's a truck.
It's like, I don't think I can get my truck down
Tom Reed would park his Corvette down there.
in.
If you do have a truck, you can't,
Yeah, you can't
you're
get.
not go down on that, it'll take the top of your truck off.
When I was a kid, there was a parking attendant in there. They would park your car for you too. Because we used to ride our bikes in here and he chased us out of there. I remember when we were kids.
Valet parking, even like that.
But I think it was mostly for employees, you know. it
Well,
wasn't
naturally,
like-
going with it, it's like ducking is somehow gonna help. It's not gonna help.
Well, it was a huge, it's a huge parking lot.
It is.
If it wasn't for all those poles, you'd probably get a lot more cars out there. But then again, if we didn't have those poles, you'd probably want a bunch of cars down
That's
there.
right.
Yeah, right.
Well, that'll be something, David, that you can dive into maybe in July or August, and get a feel of what you feel needs to be done there along with Udi and Jack.
Yeah.
It's like I've always said, the wheels are moving. Just depends on how fast they're gonna continue to move. There he is, most important man in
Good
town.
morning, good morning. That's waiting on me.
Jerry, we're talking a little bit about how much money do we have in the opioid distribution?
Yes, I brought those numbers with me. The one Ohio opioid, we've got 1.2 million.
Okay.
The other is that National Opioid Abatement Trust, and we've got 47,000 there.
Okay.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Did you all have any immediate plans to do anything with that opioid money, or
Well,
any discussion on how you would use that or begin to use it?
I know the reentry coalition, last year we used some money for the reentry coalition. They're requesting 50. I figured we could pay 40,000 out of that, that leaves an additional $7,000 there.
Mhm.
The Child Protection Agency is requesting 15. And Jack would allocate out of his One Ohio, another $8,000 out of that account, we could get that to $15,000. And that would be, all the money is gone out of the opioid distribution, which money continues to come in. It just doesn't come at a fast rate and a large amount. So that would be my recommendation.
How about the Hope Partnership?
That, I'm sure that Jack is gonna take care of the whole partnership out of that 1.2 million with a $50,000 request. All right, about that.
It's 40,000.
Okay, yeah. So that would be the breakdown on the opioid money. I asked Jack, when you guys went over the budget, did you do any of the request amounts that people had requested? Like, I know we pay the Humane Society $120,000 every year. We had that agreement for $50,000 over 6 years for the Humane Society building, the building's going up. And then we talked about the child protection, economic development, we do $100,000 a year, then you requested $125,000.
Yeah, I believe Jeff got those included in
Okay.
there.
You'll check on the economic development, Parks and Rec, OSU extension, and soil and water. Those.
Yeah, if you go to page 20 on the budget, see the breakdown of those. A little more than halfway down, you can see those. Humane Society.
USU extension. 315.
Historical Society.
Someone was 275 and requested.
I showed 310, that's what they
They
requested.
requested 310 and we gave them last year. We get 275 last year.
Do you remember what account code that was?
Interesting.
Where it is? Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's 350, the extension office is 315. 100, it's on that same page 20. Not
Right.
quite halfway down, 100, 01, 07, 72, 52.
Soil and water requested 310 and we got 275. We gave them 275 last year. It's just above, it's 7251.
Jerry, when I look at 7456, that's the economic development. Is that what the big lights did?
That's the current year budget. I'm assuming he pulled that off of whatever the request was.
Well, the economic development was an additional 25,000. That would come to $125,000. Because for the past 2 or 3 years, we've given $100,000 to economic development.
Okay. Yeah, what I might suggest at this point is that we, any of those maybe that they aren't reflecting your intention there, that we could amend those after the first of the year.
Okay.
I know one of the things that he had tried to do was balance that with the revenue coming in, which is, as you can see, which I was going to show you here on the first page of the other document. Why don't we just take a look at that real quick? It's the smaller document. It's really the summary of all the funds. And one thing I'd like to point out too is that there are some funds on this report, shows all the appropriations, which would include all the special districts, which you are not responsible for approving those budgets. They have their own boards, of course, but they're reflective here. So when you pass the budget, I know Kathy, I think in the minutes, you normally document the general fund as well as all other county funds.
Yes.
So when you look at this smaller document, all of the county funds would be everything down to the special district funds. So on page 1, of course, you see the general fund. 36.4 million is what is projected there in revenue. And we've matched the disbursements there, 36.4, to reflect that or to match that. One thing you'll notice there is a net difference, a positive of $21, which I know Jeff had mentioned that he had to bump up the VOCA participation amount. only because they've needed more funding for their grant. Their grant continues to
Increase.
well, and I think it may have held to what it was last year, just has not increased. But their expenses, of course, of their program have, so it's required a little bit more participation from the general fund. But if you look down on page, the other document, let's see where the transfer's at. I think that transfer ended up landing around 90,000. I have a hard time finding it here. Oh, here we go. Page 19. Page 19, about almost 3/4 of the way down, 100,01,007942 is the transfer to Boca. That bumped up from 79,000 to 99,000, so it bumped up about 20,000 from last week when we were discussing this, only to match what their need was in that particular grant program. I think there was another piece that was left out here on the comprehensive plan that was not included. I think Devin has something maybe.
About 544,000.
Yeah, which would be something, he did not use much of that in this current year budget. We did not get that included in here. Just kind of an oversight. I don't think it was on his budget or in the county commissioner's budget. So it did not get included. So I think he plans to come to the commissioners first meeting in January. And
He provided something to them.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, good.
Feels like he's being neglected, Jerry. Last year, if you remember, there was confusion. We thought, there was a thought that that money was coming out of grant money, which it didn't, which got taken out, which in January we had to
Moved it to the general
appropriate
fund
it to the general fund.
obligations, yeah.
So it looks like the same thing's gonna happen in January again. So,
And I think with some of that, he's able to generate some revenue from certain entities, and I'm not sure how that works. So you talk to him about that, but certain
I don't know,
townships.
talking to him.
There is some revenue that does come back to the county from those that participate in that plan. And will benefit from it or contributing or donating to that. So some of that expense will be offset from revenue that comes back to the county.
Well, I think the most important thing is, I've talked to some of these people who asked for additional funding, and they already built that into their budgets.
Okay.
So, like, if anything, I'd like you to check on Parks and Rec and the economic development, because I can't remember it ever being $50,000. They go to 125, yes. And with the Hope Partnership, that would be 40,000, where they take.
Yeah, I'll check with Jeff on that.
The reentry did ask for 50. Yeah. 40 would be one, 40 would be the max. That would come out of the opioid distribution rates.
Okay.
Jared, would you like to say any more about this?
No, I was gonna see if you had any other questions. Pretty much much the same look. One thing you'll notice, of course, and I think Jeff mentioned that in his email, the ACGP grant that the county received or will be administering, which the county and city benefit from, as well as other regional entities. I think that's 64 million, 69 million, something like that. That has increased. If you're kind of looking at this, you'll see a big jump in all other funds last year compared to this year. That's because of that new grant that came in. That will be highly active. There'll be a lot of work done this year on that. It will continue on, of course, into 2026. So they'll be spreading that out over 25 and 26, of course. So that caused quite a jump, and you'll see that in the fund, the 420 fund. That's our state grant funds. So if you look on page 2, 420 state grants, you'll see the third column over expense budget, 71.4 million. That reflects most of that is that ACGP grant. So that's why there was such a jump if you're not comparing numbers from last year and this year.
Roughly, Jerry, how much is the Appalachian Initiative grant bringing me out off of interest quarter?
I don't have that. We're over $2 million on that.
In a
And
quarter?
on the interest. No, total.
Yeah, so far this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one thing that I think that concerns me is Job and Family Services. It seems like, I think they're very frugal with their money. But the problem is, since COVID, all those programs have been cut back. Thus, the money's cut back. And, the money doesn't flow through, like we had to put in close to $400,000, if I'm not wrong, to Job and Family Services.
Right.
To just help balance. One time we talked about the possibility of another levy. And I know Devin's not crazy about going out and asking for additional funding, but he did come and talk to the commissioners about that once. And it looks like we're gonna have to subsidize Job and Family Services largely again next year. So, and it's a needed service, so.
Every county in the state's going to do this.
And it's something that we have to pay for because the state says we have to, under our advice code.
And I do know that they had reflected a number in their budget of need to be able to handle their programs for next year. That is not reflective in here because I don't know that there's been anything agreed upon by you all and the JFS agency. So none of that is reflected in here. The only thing that we do have in here is what we would normally have done in the past, which is the mandated share. There's a transfer that we do to child support enforcement agency every year. So those are reflected, but any new need or any additional requirement that they might have need of in 2025 is not reflected in here. So.
I know the Hawking had to pay a substantial amount of money, Benton didn't because of the population so small. It seems like Hawking and Ross are carrying the lion's share on this.
Yeah. Jobs and Family Services is the only agency in the state that can't say no, can't leave kids on the street.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, and there's an increasing need in that foster care program. I know it's from experience, family. Daughter, son-in-law adopted, were working with some foster children and adopted them. And it became very clear to me, and I really had my eyes open on the huge need that there is, not only foster care, but the adoption as well. But yeah, it's an ever-increasing need and demand.
When the state says you have to do this to a child, and it costs $800 a day to do this for one child, it's kind of tough.
Right.
And the state's only going to give you $400 a day for something that's $800 a day.
COVID closed down a lot of places to send the kids. And then so supply and demand prices went up along with inflation. So that $800 price tag we get for a kid today was probably $200 pre-COVID. So that's just where all the costs have just gone. And there's a lot of movement with CCAO to get the state engaged to right things instead of wrong things in terms of funding and do programs of work. As evidenced by our directors and directors of all the JFS organizations in the state, instead of listening to legislators, just having pipe dreams.
There's one individual there that was charged $1,200 a day. And that individual had a problem with everything it got its hands on and put in its mouth. Gloves, pencils, anything they could get their hands on in the mouth. That went on for about 2 or 3 years. Now our last report on that individual, they no longer need assistance. But I don't know how you stop somebody who's been doing that since they were 8 years old until they're 16 years old. So it's a sad state of affairs. I hate to say this, but I've said it before. As I walk out the door, it seems like we put a lot of money into people who can't take care of themselves. We have to have a jail because we have people doing things wrong. And the people who go to jail and who can't afford to have an attorney, we have to pay for their attorney. Kids who go to school and can't behave in school go to juvenile detention center. And it's like a mole that rolls with the homeless. We've helped numerous times giving money, a lot of times from the COVID funds for a homeless shelter. It goes on and on, but there's a lot of good things that come out of the county also.
Right.
It just seems like you're always doing something for somebody who can't take care of themselves, and it's a shame.
And the mental health crisis is the third leg of the school. That kind of care costs more than just regular traditional child care. So it's a new world with expense.
And you'd like to think that some of those in the programs we have things would turn the other way. It seems like the need continues to increase, and of course, inflation, the costs continue to go up. So, if the state doesn't fund, or they're reducing their participation in the funding of these programs that are needed, that requires the local level to come up with more money, more funding, i.e. taxes and things like that, which no one likes. But again, it's kind of one of those things you're left with, having to fund the program.
We sign multitudes of contracts every time we have a job and family service meeting. Those contracts may be an increase. There should be a threshold, I would think, or they're trying to establish a threshold where I can't ask an absorbent amount of money for a student. And it's kind of I got you. What are you going to do? You're either going to pay it or you're not going to get the kids to come here. So it's a cycle. It's a cycle.
It's going to take a team to figure this out. Nobody's got it individually.
Right, yeah, I don't think there's any one thing. It's going to take a multitude of different things.
Always send it up to the state house and get it figured out. Any other questions about the for Jerry?
I'm sure we'll make adjustments after the first 3 years.
Well, as of today, we have a motion to approve the tax budget and the funding summary for the period to 2025. Second. All in favor? Aye. So need an approval. And a motion for the Ross County appropriations, revenue, and expense for period 2025.
So,
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Jerry? Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Always felt good knowing that you were downstairs.
Oh, well, I appreciate that confidence. We'll continue on. Always have. provide you guys the information you need to make decisions and work with other departments. I've always bragged on Ross County, in my years of being in this area, how well we've really worked together compared to many other counties. So I commend you all for everything you've done.
Thank you.
Jerry, you'll make my teeth hurt. You got too sweet.
Sweeten him up.
No, but thank you all for everything you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
You're welcome.
I see we have a new guest come in. Ms. Glass, would you like to make any comment?
No.
They say. I can't believe Charlie did you today.
No, he's on my,
Jim, have anything?
Well, I got a lot to say.
We got a lot of time for you to say it because we've got through county business, we've got our budget taken care of. And if it wasn't for Jeff Marks coming in 11:30, we'd adjourn the meeting.
Today, I'm getting, where's my thing? Later, we'll have to entertain some on the new board that I've got some issues. Some concerns and, we'll issue that with the new board. And, I just want to thank you, Dwight, for your service, for representing our county as a county commissioner. We didn't always agree on everything, but, I still consider you my friend.
We are friends.
And I pray for your family and the situation now.
I appreciate that.
So,
I spoke this morning to the gentleman who's having trouble in Huntington Township with his, I told him that you and I spoke on Friday, you're gonna look into this a little more. Is that fair?
That's fair, yeah. Ultimately, it's trustees.
Correct.
So the road maintaining.
I think he understood that when he started off his conversation saying that he had talked with the trustees. And then he talked to you and Jeff Marks. And I think his concern was he hasn't heard anything back from the trustees. So.
Dwight, I'm sorry to interrupt. He was here maybe, a month ago? Not quite. There was some action item coming out of the prosecutor's office that was supposed to help rectify some of that.
He has not heard anything from the prosecutor's office. And there's another man that's busy. I mean, he's constantly.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
He's, he does the best he can. And I appreciate everything that he does, but he has not received anything from Mr. Marks yet. So. Jim, why don't you let yours grow?
Huh?
Why don't you let yours grow?
That's just another aggravation you need to deal with.
You can tug on it, you can do about anything with it. So.
I got other things to talk on.
Massey's on over to Kathy. I'm with you.
I think mine's coming off tomorrow.
Mine's coming off tomorrow, definitely. And a mustache. I'm gonna look like Charlie here tomorrow.
Dwight, I just want to stop in and thank you for your time and service.
I appreciate that, Charlie.
I won't take up 3 or 4 hours, it takes a lot. Until your semi-retirement or whatever it is.
It'll be semi-retirement. So, Charlie, I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure working with you.
Yeah, it's been good, yeah.
We have stayed in contact and, I think you've got a lot of things taken care of and moving forward, you've got a lot of things, responsibilities coming up.
But as they say, the road goes on forever and the party never ends.
Well,
There was a song written like that, I think.
you can find that one, send that to me.
No, it's been, but the scary thing is how fast 8 years goes. I can still picture you, Josh, Bill, and Carla, the first day you got sworn in 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how fast 8 years goes. It's just kind of scary.
Well,
8 years from now, I'll be older than you are.
What?
I know you're stubborn.
Now, I told my daughter to send me pictures of their Christmas. And, I said, enjoy them now. And I said, take those pictures because 20 years from now, you're gonna look back and ask, where did the 20 years go?
Yeah.
And it is the truth that, but my old adage has always been, the closer you get to the end, your life's like toilet paper. It rolls faster, so there's not as much there.
I guess I'll never use that now.
That's a
You
good
can
one.
use it now.
But, there was a lot of good things, just like Jared said, goes on there at Lost County. They went on in the past, they went on while you were here, and they'll go on after we're all gone.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. I'll be in touch. Buy me lunch someday.
Well, I was waiting for that, potato soup and onions.
Okay.
We did that one time. I can't remember who else was there.
We'll see. Happy New Year. I'll see some of you tomorrow.
Yeah.
See
See you, Charlie.
If we have no other business, we can adjourn to 11:30 or 11:15. Go to recess. And then I can talk, Shelby, you can talk to whoever you need to talk to, and Kevin, you can talk to whoever you need to, but we'll come back at 11:15. We'll go to recess at 9:57.
Who do you mean?
I just want to talk to the three of them together.
Okay, cool.
They'll have me.
Because I need you separate and then you guys afterwards, I think.
Okay.
Gentlemen, if you can spare a minute.
I got you on the clock, Kevin.
Oh, wait a minute, wait before you turn that on.
Gotta get down here.
When you're ready.
See you guys. See you. Bye. Thank you.
Hey, take care. Good seeing you.
I gotta go, yeah. I'm not gonna stay till 11:30.
Come on.
Thank you.
What do you mean, no? See you later.
I might come back and get bored. Take care, man. Well, gentlemen, it's your last session of the year. One of you is leaving. Can you summarize the past year?
Past years, that's hard to do. I mean, I can summarize maybe the past 8 years, but the last year has been a lot of work with the commissioners. A lot of different projects we're undertaking. The renovation of the courthouse is one of them. Sewer project we're looking at. And getting a new FBO for the fixed base operator for the airport. Those are three of the big ones right now. So,
You were also talking about a few upcoming issues that are out of your hands now, like the CNB building, LCNB building, serious major
No one thing.
Okay, we're trying to executive session at 11:47. Dealing with personnel matters. There's something we have to approve through the Guardian FRID, the Manning Cloud subscribing agreement. This is made out of the Sheriff's Department. And it's a contract. Provide a system comprised of hardware support services, network, web-based software as a service platform to develop a wide range of management, monitoring, and tracking solutions. Command cloud system.
So moved. Oh, you didn't tell us.
Yeah, how much is it?
But it's paid for through the Sheriff's Department.
It's like
Inmate.
36,000 or something, I think. it is.
Inmate funds.
Yeah, inmate funds.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
You already looked at it. Yes, I think so. That's what you just looked at.
Yeah, I remember the name of it.
Commissioner Everson, any other business? Nope. Commissioner Lowe?
Wish you the best.
Oh, thanks. I'm the best.
Have fun.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna adjourn the meeting at 11:48. That's not it.
Did you have a meeting?
No. The last few I have.
That's the way. Thanks so much, Lynn.
Oh, that's. I'm sorry.
Hey, I can't see where you're gonna be.
I've had